A new computer art tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be going over how to create a scene that where you can see something underwater and also above water at the same time, and also add something into that water scene or this ocean scene that you normally wouldn't expect, kind of creating this sort of surreal effect of an image. And here's a project I had going in progress, still a little bit more to do, but gives you the basic idea of what we're looking to accomplish. So I'll go ahead and get started with a new document in Photoshop CC. What I recommend for a document size, we'll do a width of 10 inches and a height of 8 inches and a resolution of 72. Our color mode is RGB, should be all good, and background as white is okay, or we could go with transparent, but either or, it's all good. So first thing we're going to need is we'll go over to whatever your browser preference happens to be, and we're going to look for an image of an ocean. All right, and so we're looking for, just water, maybe some clouds in the sky. We're actually going to replace the sky, so whatever's going on in the sky doesn't matter too much, but we just want, good flat ocean image. And so any one of these will do. I'll give a shot at this one right here. I'll copy that image, go back to Photoshop and paste it down, and I'll do some adjusting to the size right now. And just going to take this and stretch it so that it goes off the edges, off the sides. Okay, height-wise, doesn't need to be filling the whole space height-wise, because we're actually, like we were saying, going to add that little bit of space down below underneath here. And with an image like this, it doesn't matter too much if we skew. So I'm just going to pull that up a little bit. Let's see, because we want a little bit of space for to insert a sky up here. I want a little space down below here too, so we can see where this is underwater. So if it's about what it looks like almost split into thirds, maybe a little more space in the ocean than a third, but about thirds there, then that should be good. I'll hit enter to keep that transformation. And now what we're going to go into looking for is the second image we need. So back to our browser, I've already got a second image search started, and I'm looking for a nice sunset. So I'm going to plug in a nice sky here as opposed to the very simple sky that is in my ocean image right now. I'm just scrolling through, not seeing anything too appealing. For time's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and grab the first one that I really see that has a pretty flat line going across. This may have even been the same one I used in my demo, but that is a-okay. Maybe there's some other ones on the side here. I really like how that one just kind of goes straight across. That's kind of really what I need just to keep this going. So I'm going to copy that image as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste this in, and then resize this image layer as well. Okay, so just kind of making sure it's the width that goes across, and that is all we really need to have happen. So once we kind of get that into place, what we're going to do is we are going to create a layer mask that is going to reveal this. Okay, so this is a new feature in our computer art class. We're actually going to take this sky and pull it down underneath our ocean layer. Okay, so underneath the ocean layer is going to be on top. All right, and we're going to create a mask, and the way we do that is we click on this kind of rectangle image icon with a circle in the middle, and when we click on that, you'll see another window pop up next to your layer, and that's what we call a layer mask. So anything we draw inside of this space will reveal what we have on this layer. And so what I want to do is only reveal up to that edge of the ocean there. Now I can tell that I didn't quite get all the way off the edge there, so I'm going to do this one more time. Alright, and I'm going to take just the flat color black, and I'm going to paint in here with my paint bucket, hiding behind the gradient tool right now. And so what you can see happens there is that reveals what's underneath. So actually I did this a little bit backwards. Let's try that one more time. So I actually want to go from the top edge down to the ocean layer here, and fill in that portion right there. Okay, so what that does now is you can see where I painted black, it reveals the layer that's underneath. So I'm actually going to go back to this layer here with the sunset, and I'm going to move it up a little bit. So let's just click and drag, just moving this up until I get that edge to line up. Look at that. So that's snapped in really nice. Maybe I'll just scooch it up just a tiny bit so you see a bit of that kind of like little sliver of land kind of going across the edge there. Cool, so that gets us pretty well set up for right now. So what we should see is an image, a sunset there on the back, and then the layer mask on our ocean layer there. Okay, so that's a little confusing, but we're going to keep using some more layer masks as we keep going to kind of get used to them here in this particular lesson. So next thing we're going to need is a new layer, and next new layer we're going to actually use our gradient tool to fill. So gradient tool, we're going to click on our colors here to open up our color options. Now something we're going to do is we're going to use colors from this image. So one of our colors, our darker color, we want to be a darker blue from our ocean. And then if we click back over to our lighter color, we want to pick what is probably one of the lighter colors from our ocean here as well. So now this gradient will pretty well match the colors that we have going on in this scene. We're going to choose the circular or radial gradient option here, and we're just going to go ahead and fill this entire space. Now I did that a little backwards. I think actually we want to have the lighter color on the left side, so I'm just going to click and drag it over and click and drag this darker color over here. We want the lighter color on the left, darker color on the right, and so I'm just going to again click and drag and kind of make a diagonal line there. Now what I need to do to this is actually copy the same, actually, oh no, I'm going to need to not copy the same mask, but I'm going to turn down the opacity just a little bit so I can see through to my images underneath. And I'm going to make a new mask on here, on this layer. So remember, that's the rectangular circular icon down here, and I'm going to draw and paint in a new mask, and this one is only going to go up to the edge of where I have put my ocean here. So right in this space, I'm going to go ahead and use my fill bucket and paint in this area black, I believe. I think I have that right. Actually, maybe that is the opposite again too. Sorry about that. So I actually want to take this and actually draw this whole area here, and then right up to the bottom of my ocean edge, and then fill that in. Okay, so now this, what we should see, you know, look, watch my masks, my layers, and make sure that yours kind of match up. So on this layer, I've filled up the top portion of it. Now if I turn the opacity back up, you can see how this is kind of like the underwater area here. And if you want to, if you think your gradient's not quite lined up right, you can keep kind of filling or experimenting with different ways of painting your gradient. You just keep going over it and over it. That seems to be pretty good. I might go maybe a little bit further off so it's a little more just like dark on the edges. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Next thing we're going to do is something we're kind of familiar with already from our space and other landscapes that we've done in class, and we're going to render some clouds. And so we are going to go into our render menu and render some clouds on this layer, and what we're going to do is actually here we can just copy the mask from this layer over here. So if we press the Alt key or the Option key and click and drag this up to this layer, it'll add the same layer mask as we used here, so we don't even need to draw a new one. And then next thing we're going to actually do is change the layer style on this cloud layer. So make sure you clicked on the cloud layer, and we're going to make this go to soft light. And that soft light effect is going to make it appear more like this is kind of foggy underwater territory. And maybe what I'll do is just turn down the opacity a little bit so they're not really, really strong clouds. Maybe about 50%. Now it just kind of looks like murky water. It doesn't look like really, really too cloudy. All right, and so that pretty much gets us set up here to go into the part 2 section of this tutorial. For now, I'm going to take a pause, and we'll get into adding some objects in here and a little more detail, make something appear like it's underwater.